everybody. Today we will be reading a poem from class 12th English book Flamingo. The first poem, My Mother at 66, written by Kamala. Before reading the poem, let's know a little bit about the poet. Kamala was born in Malabar, Kerala in 1934. She is recognized as one of India's foremost poets. Her works are known for their originality, versatility, and the indigenous flavor of the soil. Kamala has published many novels and short stories in English and Malayalam under the name Madhvi Kutti. Some of her works in English include the novel Alphabet of Lust, which she had written in 1977, a collection of short stories, Padmavati, The Harlot, and other stories which she had written in 1992, in addition to 5 books of poetry. She is a sensitive writer who captures the complex subtleties of human relationships in lyrical idiom. My Mother at 66 is an example of it. Before going through the text, let us have a short introduction of the poem. My Mother at 66 is a short poem without a full stop. It is like a long sentence overflowing the poet's thoughts. Kamala uses the device of comparison and contrast, simile and repetition. The poem revolves round the theme of advancing age and the fear of loss and separation. It is a sentimental account of the mother's approaching end through the eyes of the daughter. It's the filial bond between the mother and the daughter. Kamala is nostalgic of the past. She remembers all the moments which she had spent with her mother, and she feels nostalgic. On the other hand, she has a fear of the future, thinking of her mother's end and the loss of her mother forever. But by the end of the poem, the poet develops a positive attitude and wins over her fear and her melancholy. Now let us understand the poem stanza-wise through the text. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me doze, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. In these lines, the poet Kamala says that she was driving with her mother in a car to the airport because she was going to her house in Cochin. It was a Friday morning. Her mother was sitting beside her. When she looked at her mother, she realized that her mother was very old. She saw that her mother lay asleep. She was taking a doze. Doze means a short sleep. She was in a short sleep. Her mouth was opened. Her face ashen means her face looked very white and pale, like that of a corpse. She looked like a dead body and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. Now the poet realizes when she looks at her mother's face, she realizes that her mother had gone very old. She had gone very pale and white, and the thought that comes to the poet's mind is that very soon her mother's end is approaching. So to put away that thought and fear, the poet looks out of the car's window and she could see the trees sprinting means the trees running past as the car is moving forward. Then she could see the children playing merrily, spilling out of their homes, the children running and coming out of their homes and playing very happily. So here the poet compares her mother's face like a corpse. She feels that her mother is looking like a dead body with her pale and white face, with her mouth open, sleeping at the back seat of the car. Then she sees the children playing outside very happily and the young green trees passing past the car. She feels that it is full of energy, and the fear of her mother's separation moves from her heart. But after the airport's security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan, pale, as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. In these lines, we can say that the poet, when again she looks at her mother in the airport, she finds that her face looks white, wan, pale, as a late winter's moon. Here she compares her mother's face, the white face, the pale face of her mother, to the winter's moon. Winter's moon is very pale to look at in the sky because mostly it is covered with fog and mist. And so the moon doesn't look very clear. It looks foggy. It is not very clear in the sky. In the same way, here Kamala Das also realizes that her mother's white and pale face looks like the winter moon, and she felt that old familiar ache. She feels the ache, the pain which she used to feel in her childhood. When she would be separated from her mother for time being, for a little time, when she would be separated from her mother, she would feel a lot of pain in her heart. The same childhood fear and pain she felt again, because now she is thinking that her mother would die very soon and her end is approaching near. But then she does not want to tell her fear, or she does not want to present her fear to her mother, to her old mother. And that is why she says, "See you soon, Amma." These words with a smiling face. The last line it is said, "I did was smile and smile and smile." The use of smile three times shows that the poet Kamala Das is overcoming her fear, her nostalgia, and her pain, and she is developing a positive attitude in her heart, thinking that she would again meet her mother very soon. And the loss of her mother or the death of her mother, which had created a fear and pain in her heart, was now dying away. She creates a positive attitude in her, and with a smiling face, she assures that she would meet her mother again. Now let us discuss on the textual questions for a better understanding of the poem. The first question which is given in the text is, what is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? The poet is very nostalgic. When she sees her mother's pale and weak face while dozing in the car, her open mouth, she feels that her mother is going to die very soon. She thinks that her end is nearing, and a sudden fear accumulates her heart, and she feels very sorrowful. She wants to help her mother. She wants to take care of her mother, but she finds herself very helpless. She feels very nostalgic, and her restless heart increases her fear. This fear is very similar to her childhood fear when she would be separated from her mother, but that fear and pain would be timely. So we can write the answer in this way. When the poet looks at her mother's face very closely while driving in the car, she finds a very pale and weak look on her mother's face. She fears that her death is nearing. She needs care and help. But though the poet wants to take care of her mother, she finds herself helpless. The restlessness at her heart brings a pain of losing her mother forever. The childhood fear of losing her mother was timely, but the death of her mother at present would be a separation from the poet forever. Now let us discuss the second question. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? Here, the poet Kamala Das has personified the young trees. When she creates a fear in her heart, when she sees her mother's pale and weak face, she wants to divert her attention from the fear of death and separation. When she looks out of the car, she finds the young trees moving past very quickly. Now she compares and sees that the moving trees are just opposite to the poet's mother, who is sitting beside her like a corpse. Her mother is taking a dose with an open mouth. Her face looks very pale and weak as compared to the young trees moving outside. In this poem, the poet has personified the young trees. When she looks at them from her moving car, they seem to be running fast. These sprinting trees, when compared to the poet's mother, are found to be just opposite. The mother sitting in the car, taking a dose, with her mouth open, her face pale and weak, looks as still as a dead body. The third question of the text is, why has the poet brought in the image of the merry children spilling out of their homes? While driving in the car, the poet draws a comparison between what is traveling with her and what she can see outside. She makes this comparison to divert her attention from the fear and pain, from the nostalgia that is being created in her heart, and she wants to move away from that situation. She wants that her fear and pain should be curbed, and she feels that she should create a feeling of life and energy and enthusiasm. So, when she looks out of the car, she finds small children spilling out from their homes and playing merrily outside. This comparison made by Kamala Das shows that she does not want to drown herself in the nostalgic fear of her mother's separation and death forever. While driving in the car, the poet draws a comparison between what is traveling with her and what she can see outside. This comparison is between life and death, between stillness and full of energy. Inside the car, the poet's mother is sleeping with open mouth like a corpse. This image of her mother makes the poet sad and fearful. So, to divert her attention from this fear, she looks out of the car and sees children playing who appear to be full of life, energy, and enthusiasm. The next textual question to be discussed is, why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon. The poet Kamala Das compares her mother's face with a late winter's moon. The reason behind this is that the late winter's moon appears to be very dull and does not have luster in it because it is overshadowed by fog and mist in the sky. The same way, the poet's mother's face lacks luster. It looks white like ash. It looks very pale and thin. Her mouth is open while she is dozing, and this appearance of her mother makes the poet feel that she is nearing her end, and that is why she compares her mother's face to the late winter's moon. The late winter's moon appears very dull and lacks luster. So does her mother look at the end stage of her life. The late winter moon gets overshadowed by the fog and mist in the sky. Similarly, the poet's mother can get overshadowed by death at any time. Both seem to be nearing an end, one of season and the other of life. The last question of the text to be discussed is, what do the parting words of the poet and her smile signify? While parting from her mother in the airport, the poet smiles and smiles and smiles and tells her mother, "See you soon, Amma." This smile of the poet assures her that she is going to meet her mother in future. She was successful in curbing her feeling of death and fear and separation from her mother, and that is why she smiles and smiles and smiles. She develops in her a positive attitude and overcomes her pain and fear, and she assures herself as well as her mother that they would meet again in the near future. While parting from her mother, the poet smiles and smiles and smiles and says, "See you soon, Amma." This shows the positive attitude of the poet. She overcomes her fear and pain as well. She assures her mother and herself that they would meet again. She shows her braveness at heart and soul, which is shown by her smile.